Over the past 5 or 6 years, I have been concerned about the erosion of our freedom of speech and our freedom of religion. I've been watching the news, I've been listening to articles, I've been watching videos, and across that time I have realized there is now beginning to be a significant problem, particularly for Christians. 2 Timothy 3:12 states, "Indeed, all who want to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted." I had thought that persecution would be related to theology, perhaps our denominational position, or who we believe Jesus was, or how we worship God, but it turns out that really is not the current area of conflict. The current area of conflict is how we are living out our faith based on our scriptural convictions. It has brought us into conflict with a culture that has changed considerably in the past 5 years. As a result, some of the areas that we see conflict arising in are abortion and euthanasia, and homosexuality, gay marriage, and the LGBTQ agenda. As a result, in a number of those areas, we have seen the culture demanding that we embrace views that we simply can't hold. When that occurs, conflict happens, and in some cases it has cost Christians their jobs. Some examples of this might be a fire chief in Atlanta who had a men's Bible study in his church. He produced a booklet for those men on sexuality for that portion of the class, and that booklet somehow made its way into the hands of the fire department, and they fired him for that, for having produced the booklet. Kroger's demanded that 2 of its women employees, Christian women employees, wear the LGBTQ logo on their aprons, and they, not wanting to endorse the LGBTQ movement, declined to do so, and they were fired. 3 nurse practitioners lost their positions recently with CVS because they refused to prescribe medications that cause abortions. A professor at a North Park University expressed his belief in celibacy, in singleness, and faithfulness in heterosexual marriage, and was fired as a result of his position. A volunteer chaplain for the Austin Fire Department was fired when he stated on his church blog that he thought that it was inappropriate for biological men to compete with biological women. The newly hired CEO of the Essendon Football Club in Melbourne, Australia, was fired from his new position within 24 hours when it was discovered that he was on the board of a church which held traditional Christian values. Richard Scott, a physician in England, underwent 4 years of litigation and persecution because he chose to pray with his patients. The upshot of it was that he didn't have to admit guilt, but he did have to take a course on professional boundaries. A news director for KNOP TV was fired when it turned out that in her church she was soliciting signatures for a pro-life initiative. And most recently, a child care teacher was fired from Bright Horizon Children's Center because she would not read LGBTQ-themed literature to the small children she was caring for. So in all of these situations, we see that we have Christians who are trying to honor their faith, and the things that they are doing are in conflict with the cultural values of the day. So the message is pretty clear. No individual who disagrees with the current cultural orthodoxy can express or act upon their personal convictions without risk to their job. That's a serious place for us to be. John Stonestreet, who is a producer for Breakpoint, has said that we all need to develop a theology of being fired, and we need to live by that if we're going to be faithful in our Christian lives. And I think he's actually right. There is really not a choice for us as Christians when we are faced with situations where we are asked to deny our basic Christian beliefs. We need to simply stand on the truth and suffer the consequences. That does, however, mean that if we're going to ask that of people, that we need to be supportive of people who have done that. We need to be able to figure out how to help people who have lost their positions support themselves until they can get another position. We need to be supportive of them by contacting those who have fired them and letting them know that their actions have violated both the rights God has given us and the rights that our Constitution have provided for us. We need to shout these things from the rooftop. One of the reasons that this is happening is that nobody is talking about it. So we need to make sure that when we are aware of these cases, that we contact the businesses that have done the firing or the government agency that's done the firing, and that we speak to people and ask them to reconsider. We need to write editorials. We need to be active on social media, and we need simply not to allow these things to be slipped under the rug anymore. If you do find yourself in a position where you are about to lose employment, or you know somebody who is, you need to get a good lawyer. Now, there are a number of agencies that provide lawyers, sometimes pro bono if you can't afford it, and just so that you have a list of a few of those places. There's the Christian Legal Society, the Alliance Defending Freedom, the Christian Legal Fellowship, the First Liberty Institute, and FIRE. All of those places will be of help if you are losing your job because you have attempted to live out your faith. I would encourage you, be faithful. We are walking into times that are going to be more, not less challenging. And we need to be willing to stand up and live for Christ. Accept the challenge. Be faithful in everything you do. And if you know people who are experiencing difficulty because of living out their faith, stand by them, help them, bring them to the attention of others. So, stand strong. Support the freedom of speech that we should have, and support the freedom of religion that we should have. Don't be silent.